Bonnie Baker, and I live in a small town in West Texas. I'm about 2 hours from the Midland, Odessa area where UTPB is located. I am about 30 minutes from Lubbock, Texas, really about 25, that has Texas Tech University. So just to kind of give you a reference of where I am, the town I'm actually in is a pretty small town. We don't have a whole lot of resources that would contribute to 15 employers like was required on our community mapping project. However, Lubbock is fairly close. Most people in our area just treat it like going to town, even though it's a 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive. So I was able to compile some resources from here in our local community in Levelland and as Lubbock as well. So for the first part of our project, just gathering community resources that would be useful for individuals with special needs. I actually went to Facebook. We have a local kind of Mommies of Levelland page. Just a bunch of moms get advice, post news, school things, just, a good resource. The administrators are really good about keeping it positive and not negative. And so I just made a post stating that I was working on my master's degree and wanting to compile some genuine resources for individuals with special needs that that would benefit, and I wanted my list to be useful. I wanted it to be meaningful. I actually have a really good list, and I'll actually be able to share it with parents as they need that information, which is what I wanted it to be. I figured if I'm doing this work, I want to know what the people who are in the trenches doing this on the daily, I wanted to know what those parents are using in their advice in some of those. So it was more information than I thought I would get. As all of us know that are educators, sometimes parents don't want to be opened, and we have to be careful with confidentiality. And so, I put on there, if you just want to private message me the information that you have, you can post it on this page and share with other moms. And I just got a plethora of information that was really useful for this project in my classroom all the way around. So the biggest thing that I got off of that information was a church in Lubbock actually has a program for individuals with special needs. That's something that we don't think about if we don't have a child at home with special needs of, not being able to go to church because maybe that child's not able to sit through the service, and that child's not able to go to a Sunday school class or youth class because of their special needs. So this church has actually developed a program. They have volunteers that either are teachers or paraprofessionals or something of the sort that in their daily living do work with individuals with disabilities. So I thought that was huge. It just made my heart really happy to find that out, that there's a church out there that services these individuals so that their parents can go to church. So for part 2, the interviews and the compiling of the 15, I felt like I was able to put a lot of good resources. I actually have an advantage. I work as a high school life skills teacher right now, and our school partners with a program through the Texas Workforce, I don't know what it's called now, but anyways, and it's called Project Search. What Project Search does is it partners with these schools, and as we have kids aging out, they take kids anywhere from the graduation age 18, so if they've completed their graduation requirements all the way to when they can age out at 21, 22, depending on their birthday. And so most of our kids that do qualify for the program go in directly after graduating, getting their high school credits, so when they're 18. And they partner with local companies in the area to place these students in intern type programs for a year, and they're worked closely with job coaches, and they get a lot of skills. They do rotations, yard and maintenance, most of it's at a local hospital in Lubbock, Covenant Hospital, and so they'll do yards maintenance, transporting of patients, kitchen, I don't know, there's 8 or 9 things that they get trained to do, and once the kid has completed the program, they are usually placed in an area where they excelled, either with Covenant Hospital or another business that partners with them. And most of the kids that graduated or finished their intern last year have this summer been placed into jobs. The lowest paying job is $13 an hour, which for our area is actually really good pay for somebody who's just finished high school. So really competitive pay, great jobs. And anyways, I was able to get their list of employers that partner with them. So I actually had a list for me. It had contact people for those employers. So I feel like I had a little bit of an advantage. I had phone numbers, contact people, and all of that from that list. So that was great. And from there, I contacted a few and just talked on the phone, and then I actually went in person to do 2. The big takeaway I took from one of them was most of the 15 employers that I listed hired students with mild cognitive disabilities. So to the untrained eye, nobody would know that that student has a disability of any kind. And while those individuals need jobs just as everybody else does, I found it harder to find employers that would take individuals that have a more apparent disability, whether it be physical or just a more moderate cognitive disability. So of the 1 or 2 of that list of 15 that did hire more moderate people, I really wanted to make sure those were one that I visited in person. And it is a movie theater there in Lubbock that hires individuals that have more moderate physical disabilities. And so they are really good about catering to those individuals that aren't able to move at such a quick pace. They make sure and schedule those individuals during times that maybe they don't have as much activity during the middle of the day, middle of the week, instead of at night or on the weekends. And they are able to kind of cater to those and accommodate those individuals' needs. The one thing that I didn't like when I was there in person and speaking to the manager was that they would pull an individual from one task and ask them to do another task without without any knowledge of what, it was just instant. And so I know for some of my high school students, when a change is that quick, they're not able to adjust to that change so quickly. And so I would have, liked to maybe recommend, which I didn't feel like I had the ability to do that, but an accommodation for that would be maybe, hey, hey, in 5 minutes this theater was really full and we're going to need more people to help clean it than we had planned. Maybe try to give those individuals, hey, in 5 minutes I'm going to need you to do this, instead of just walk it up and say, hey, drop what you're doing and come over here. as most of you know, some of our individuals might not be able to just switch on a dime like that. So, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I was super impressed that they hire individuals with more moderate and physical disabilities, and that they're not worried about what the public's going to say for hiring them. And I feel like some businesses are worried about that. So I was excited to hear that. And then last, for the disabilities for part 3, I just picked out 3 disabilities that kind of stood out that might cause trouble in the 2 workplaces that I went to. And then once I picked out those disabilities, I looked at what we do to accommodate some of those disabilities in the school setting and ways that we could carry that over into the workplace. So overall, you know, my big takeaway was that I was super happy to find out how much Project Search does for our area, for the students in our area. I hope more states, more communities would have access to something like that. I felt like it was, I've known about it working in where I work, but I didn't realize how many resources they had to place individuals once they finished the intern. I didn't realize how competitive the pay was once they completed the internship. And once they complete the internship and are placed into a job, they follow those kids to help them retain that job and maintain that job. So it was a super good resource, and I really enjoyed this project. I hope y'all all have a great school year, because it is getting started fast.